John Green's The Fault in Our Stars is a deeply moving and philosophical novel that revolves around love, loss, hope, and the haunting awareness of mortality. It's a story of two teenagers who fall in love while dealing with cancer. But beyond the medical facts and hospital rooms, it's a journey about meaning, connection, and the legacy we leave behind, no matter how short our lives might be. The beginning. Hazel Grace Lancaster's world. Hazel Grace Lancaster, a 16-year-old girl from Indianapolis, has been living with cancer for several years. Diagnosed with thyroid cancer that has metastasized into her lungs, Hazel lives tethered to an oxygen tank that helps her breathe. She spends most of her time watching reality television and reading books, especially one particular novel called An Imperial Affliction by Peter Van Houten. This book, centered around a girl with cancer, captivates Hazel not just because of its story, but because it ends mid-sentence without closure. That unresolved ending mirrors Hazel's own sense of impermanence and uncertainty about life and death. Hazel's parents, trying to pull her out of a depressive spiral, encourage her to attend a support group for cancer kids held in a church basement, a place Hazel sarcastically calls the literal heart of Jesus. It's here, in this circle of broken, hopeful teenagers, that Hazel meets Augustus Waters, a charismatic, witty, and philosophical 7-year-old who lost a leg to osteosarcoma but is now in remission. Augustus is the kind of boy who makes metaphors out of everything, who holds a cigarette between his lips but never lights it, saying, "You put the killing thing right between your teeth, but you don't give it the power to do its killing." The spark of connection. From the very first meeting, Hazel and Augustus form a bond that is both intellectual and emotional. He's instantly fascinated by her, while Hazel, though intrigued, tries to keep a safe distance. She views herself as a grenade, a person destined to explode and hurt everyone she loves. She fears getting close to Augustus will only bring him pain when her time comes. But Augustus isn't deterred. His humor, charm, and curiosity begin to dismantle Hazel's emotional walls. The two quickly begin spending time together, and their conversations range from witty banter to profound reflections on life, suffering, and oblivion. Hazel lends Augustus her favorite novel, An Imperial Affliction, and he becomes equally obsessed with the unanswered questions the story leaves behind. In particular, both Hazel and Augustus want to know what happens to the characters after the novel ends, especially the protagonist's mother, whom they worry about even though she's fictional. They write to the reclusive author, Peter Van Houten, and to their surprise, he responds. However, Van Houten refuses to answer any questions unless they visit him in person in Amsterdam, a journey of love and discovery. Encouraged by this glimmer of possibility, Augustus uses his one remaining genie wish, a gift from a fictional organization similar to Make-A-Wish, to take Hazel on a trip to Amsterdam. Hazel's doctors are initially hesitant due to her fragile health, but eventually approve the journey. Her mother, Franny, accompanies them. The trip to Amsterdam is a turning point in Hazel and Augustus's relationship. As they explore the beautiful city, share a romantic dinner at a fancy restaurant overlooking the canal, and visit the Anne Frank house where they kiss in the attic, surrounded by tourists who applaud, their bond deepens. It's during this trip that Hazel allows herself to truly fall for Augustus. However, the trip is also marked by profound disappointment. When they finally meet Peter Van Houten, the man they admired turns out to be a bitter, rude, and alcoholic recluse. He mocks them, refuses to answer their questions, and belittles their suffering. The visit shatters their hopes, but ironically, it strengthens their connection. Augustus, ever the optimist, reminds Hazel that real life is about people, not fiction. Later in Amsterdam, Augustus reveals devastating news. His cancer has returned aggressively and terminally. He is dying. The boy who had seemed invincible, full of poetic confidence and laughter, is now facing the cruel reality Hazel knows too well. The roles reverse. Hazel, who once thought she'd be the one to leave first, now finds herself preparing to say goodbye to someone she loves, facing death with courage and love. Upon returning to Indianapolis, Augustus's condition deteriorates rapidly. His physical appearance changes, his mobility decreases, and his spark dim. But what remains is his love for Hazel and his desire to leave a mark on the world. Augustus always feared oblivion dying without making a difference. But Hazel tries to help him see that touching one person's life with love and meaning is just as important as changing the world. One of the most powerful moments in the novel occurs before Augustus dies. He arranges a mock funeral for himself and asks Hazel and their mutual friend Isaac, who is now blind from cancer treatments, to deliver eulogies while he's still alive to hear them. Hazel's speech is beautiful and heartbreaking. She tells him, "You gave me a forever within the numbered days," a line that encapsulates the core message of the novel, that even short lives can have infinite impact. Augustus dies 8 days later. The pain Hazel feels is unbearable, but she tries to be strong. She attends his real funeral and is heartbroken to see that Peter Van Houten is there, invited by Augustus. After the service, Van Houten tries to speak to Hazel again. He explains that an imperial affliction was inspired by his own daughter who died of cancer, and that the unfinished novel reflects his own inability to make sense of her death. Hazel sees through his pain, and though she doesn't forgive him, she understands his brokenness. The final letter and legacy. After Augustus's death, Hazel discovers that he wrote a letter to Peter Van Houten before he died. In it, Augustus asked Van Houten to help him write a eulogy for Hazel. In this letter, Augustus pours his heart out. He tells Van Houten that Hazel is extraordinary, that she is selfless, kind, and full of grace. He acknowledges her fears of being a grenade, but tells her she's wrong, she's not a grenade, she's a gift. The letter brings Hazel comfort. She realizes that Augustus' love for her and hers for him was real and beautiful. He may be gone, but he left behind a piece of himself in her, just as she did in him. In the final lines of the novel, Hazel says, "I do," in response to Augustus' declaration of love from his letter. It's a silent, intimate acceptance that she will carry him with her always. Themes and emotional depth. John Green's The Fault in Our Stars is not just a cancer story, it's a story about life, meaning, and how people impact each other. The novel doesn't glorify or dramatize cancer. Instead, it humanizes the people living with it. Hazel and Augustus are not just sick kids. They are intelligent, funny, flawed, and brave young people trying to make sense of the world around them. Love in the face of death. Hazel and Augustus' relationship is a testament to the power of love in even the most painful of circumstances. Their love isn't based on fantasy or denial of reality. It's rooted in mutual understanding, honesty, and appreciation of every shared moment. Their connection shows that love isn't about how long you have with someone, but how deeply you love them in the time you do. Legacy and oblivion. One of the key philosophical questions explored in the novel is whether it's better to have a long life with minimal impact or a short life that changes someone forever. Augustus fears being forgotten, while Hazel fears hurting those she leaves behind. By the end, both come to realize that the value of a life isn't measured in numbers or fame, but in love and connection. Impermanence and closure. The unfinished ending of An Imperial Affliction becomes a metaphor for life itself. We don't always get answers. We don't always get closure, but we can still find meaning in the middle of the mess. Hazel learns to live with uncertainty, not to fear it, but to accept it as part of being human. Conclusion. The Fault in Our Stars is a novel that stays with you long after the last page. It's about teenagers with cancer, yes, but it's also about philosophy, about courage, about what it means to matter. It challenges the way we think about illness, time, and love. Hazel and Augustus' story is tragic, yet it's filled with humor, wisdom, and breathtaking beauty. Their love story reminds us that even when time is limited, life is not. That even in suffering, there can be moments of light. And that sometimes the most powerful legacies aren't the ones that echo across history, but the ones that live quietly in someone's heart.